In my husband's eyes, he has chosen an ideal retreat for me. A sprawling, neglected mansion, miles from civilization, surrounded by ancient woods. The air is heavy with the scent of pine and the whispers of the house's long-lost inhabitants. The house was meant to be a remedy, a place to heal from the anxieties that have been plaguing me for months. He chose it with love, I have no doubt, but this place instills more dread than solace in me. It's an imposing, haunting labyrinth of darkness and despair. But of all its unsettling aspects, the room with the crimson drapes is the most unsettling. At first, the room appeared merely desolate, with an intense melancholy clinging to its musty, faded fabrics. But the deep red curtains that adorned the windows, their red like dried blood, quickly became an obsession for me. They were long and heavy, and their velvety material seemed alive in the way it moved, shimmering even in the faintest light. Despite the unnerving feeling they provoked, I was captivated. My husband found my fixation with the drapes odd, but dismissed it as a symptom of my delicate state. He would often leave me alone in the room while he explored the surrounding woods. Left alone, I would stare at the curtains, transfixed. With time, I began to see things in the undulating folds. Faces mostly. Warped, twisted visages filled with pain and fear. They would appear and disappear, like a nightmarish version of a child's game of peekaboo. My husband, the rational man, laughed when I described the tortured faces I saw. He claimed it was my imagination, exacerbated by my frail condition. One night I woke up to a terrible storm raging outside. My husband, deep in slumber, was oblivious to my sudden awakening. The room was bathed in a ghastly, pulsating red light as the lightning illuminated the curtains. I saw them again, the faces, but this time they were alive. Their twisted mouths seemed to be moving, whispering, pleading for release. Driven by fear and a sense of urgency, I ran to the curtains, grabbing them with trembling hands. The fabric felt warm, almost pulsating. It took all my strength, but I tore them down, hoping to release the faces trapped within. But there were no faces on the floor. Instead, the curtains started shifting, and out of the pile rose the very figures I had tried to free. No longer mere images, they now had form, red as the curtains from which they emerged. They loomed over me, their mournful eyes filled with an eternity of torment. I screamed, but the only sound that filled the room was the sound of my husband snoring, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding around him. When morning arrived, I found myself back in bed. The curtains were in place, their crimson hue casting long, blood-red shadows around the room. I touched my husband, expecting him to be as cold as the figures from the night before, but he was warm, alive, unperturbed. He brushed off my recollections as night terrors. But each night the figures return. Each night they reach out for me, their blood-red hands grazing my skin, growing more tangible. Each night I feel myself becoming one with them, my essence slowly being absorbed by the crimson fabric. My husband sees nothing, he hears nothing, but I know the truth of this cursed room. I am the next face in the curtain.